napkins and pals, and there's also therapy too.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We are moving right along through season 6. We are in Galentine's Day. And yes, you heard that right. Galentine's Day. This is the second episode that is called Galentine's Day. And this is the first one without Anne, which is very sad and unfortunate. But we're going to get through it. It's going to be great. And without Anne, also, it's without Maddie. Maddie's not here today. She's got some other pressing issues. Well, issues is a strong word, but, other pressing schedule matters. So it's honestly going to be very meta today because the whole conversation about Leslie and Anne and, being apart and being in different states and trying to keep up with each other is very meta for me and Maddie. And I know that she'll probably say the same thing in her summary. But okay, so I'm going to start the show how I sometimes do with updates from our park pals. So Best Medicine is a new show out on Fox. And I'm not getting paid to say this at all, but Jay Karas, Jay, who I interviewed because he directed the Doppelgangers episode, and he interviewed with me, and it was so fun. He was such a great interview, and he actually talked about Best Medicine because he's the executive producer and also directed a few episodes of this new show called Best Medicine as well. And it's so good, you guys. I do not say this about network shows very often. I think in the rotation of my network shows, I have like 4 now, including Best Medicine. It used to be just 3. It's Abbott Elementary, of course, St. Denis Medical, Will Trent, and Best Medicine. And surprise, surprise, 3 out of 4 are all in the same realm of like Parks casting crew. But anyway, so you guys should definitely watch Best Medicine. It's really cool. It's about it's a really small town, much like Pawnee. Jay does a great job. The cinematography, the cast is great. Frenchie is in it from Grease, and she's fantastic. Josh Charles, if you watch The Good Wife, but he was in a bunch of things also. But that's what I remember him from. And I just really like it. So well done. The second update that I have for Park Pals people is I just started reading Mike Schur's book, How to Be Perfect. It came out in 2022, and I'm so excited to read it. He's talking about ethics and morals. It's basically a nonfiction book. It's not like a memoir or anything. It's about basically his reasoning for doing the good place, with like what makes you good, or you think you did something good, but actually it ended up being bad because of whatever reasons that are out of our control. And so does that make us a bad person, even though we did a good thing? It didn't actually turn out the way that we thought, which is like, intention versus what actually happened. And it's just really interesting. And it also is definitely interspersed with comedy in the amazing Mike Schur way. So I highly recommend reading that. And I'll let you know how it goes as I progress. So well done. Okay, so finally, thank you for listening to all that. Season 6, episode 17, Galentine's Day. Like I said, second of its name. Original air date, March 20th, 2014. I thought it would be closer to Valentine's. But I think that as we look at the show, it kind of talks about how it's just like impromptu. Like, we weren't going to do this anyway. And February 14th and March 20th are only about a month apart. So maybe she was just like, whatever, I didn't do it, but I'm going to do it now. You know what I mean? So I think that it does make sense. Pretty straightforward episode here. Not a ton of new stuff happening, but good setup episode. Some people were really stupid and rated this episode poorly, but they're just dumb. I hate to say that. You guys can have your own opinion, whatever. But I don't think it was a bad episode at all. It was straightforward, like I said, but it wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. But whatever. Those people aren't listening to this podcast anyway, so it's fine. So this was written by Emma Fletcher and Rachna Fruchbaum. Oh, please tell me if I mispronounced that name. I think that's it. But new writer alerts. This is Emma's first Parks writing credit, but she will go on to write Pie Mary, very exciting. Emma has also written on a lot of animated shows, which is really cool. Crapopolis, which I believe was also on Fox, Summer Camp Island, and a lot of other cool looking shows that I haven't seen yet. Red Oaks, Strangers, Contagion, if you're familiar with any of those. She also produced some of those shows as well, which is fantastic. And then this is also Rachna's first credit, and she also comes back for Pie Mary, so they must be, a writing team situation here at Parks. She's known for Shrinking, which has a new season out on Apple TV, and there are some Parks people that work on that show as well. So definitely can't wait to look at that. Watch that new season. It's gonna be so good. Oh my gosh. So get Apple TV if you don't have it already, and you're gonna need Apple TV anyway for when the new season of Ted Lasso comes out. Just saying. So go ahead and get that. She's also known for Fresh Off the Boat, and she was the co-executive producer of And Just Like That, which is the Sex and the City reboot. She also produced Fresh Off the Boat and Shrinking as well. So they're both writer producers, and that's amazing. This was directed by Beth McCarthy Miller, who is fantastic. We've mentioned her many a time. She has worked with Amy Poehler, Improv, Sketch Crowd, Tina Fey for a very long time. And she does everything we love, essentially. We've got SNL, 30 Rock, Modern Family. She's directed 3 episodes of Parks, and she'll come back next season as well. So we love her. So well done. We got a lady writing team for this Galentine and directing team for this Galentine's Day episode, and I'm very stoked about that fact. So well done. All right, so let's go ahead and take a listen to Maddie's summary.
Hello. Leslie is missing her constant connection with Anne and seeks out someone to replace her. Tom and Ben let Larry join on their quest to lock down tents for the Unity concert, and Ron plays dad to Andy. I love this episode because it's Galentine's Day, and I always think of you, Holly, on Galentine's Day. So I would love to be there for this episode for that purpose, but I'm happy to give my thoughts. I definitely think we have a bulldozer Leslie here. We've talked about this continuously through the time that we've spent reviewing this show, that she just acts kind of to solve the problem sometimes without thinking through the consequences or the next steps sometimes, right? Like we just reviewed an episode where she has a binder of 46 questions, 48 questions, more questions about the job before she makes that big leap, right? That's her career. She's going to be very thoughtful about that. That has something to do with, her helping, her serving her public. And in this case, she's just trying to fix like this hole in her heart. And so she's being super impulsive in like, I just have to fix it, right? Like Anne couldn't hop on the phone with me, so I need to immediately like replace her with someone. I definitely empathize with her, moving around a lot as a kid. I definitely went through this over and over and over again of like, trying to find somebody that my heart connected to the way that, Anne and Leslie's hearts connect. But so I get it, but I'm also like, there at this point, there is a point where like Donna and April are a little offended and upset of how she's going about it. She has this point system and everything. So along those lines, kind of staying on theme with how we've been talking about Leslie through this season, or throughout the series rather. I love that Ben lets Larry join. He asks him to join, and he brings some value to their quest. I don't know why I keep calling it a quest, but that's what I'm going to stick to. And so I really love that. And the whole standing up at the end saying that he loves Larry. I just have so much respect for Ben doing this, and standing up for Larry so that he has somebody on his side. So it's just so sweet. But also Tom, gosh, crazy. He's always crazy, but I love that. The tent guy, who I cannot remember his name for the life of me, but I always remember him as AJ, who plays Holly's boyfriend in The Office, which I know that you will go through, Holly, but he is so good because he's so like timid and shy and chill in The Office and just a very normal guy. And here he's just so annoying. You're like, oh, I hate this guy. I also love all the tent names that they come up with. I love that we get to see that Anne had her baby. That is so precious to me. And I love that Leslie just races to be there to meet, to drive there and get to meet the baby, which it also shows us that they still have access to each other. They still get to see each other because they've got that driving, that easy, and it's not an easy drive, but like it's a drivable drive, which is nice. I also just love that we're seeing this soft fatherly side of Ron in this episode for Andy. He's ready to go back and have some peace and quiet. But when he sees that Andy's struggling, he doesn't know his social security. He doesn't know if he's allergic to anything. So it's just really sweet that Ron's like, you know what, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna help him. And help him get through today. So I just love seeing that side of Ron. So those are my thoughts. That's my summary. And I'm excited to hear everything else that you found along the way, Holly. But yeah, and I will see you next time.
Yay! Yes, I thought about that as well. Well, like I said, there's a lot of meta instances, but yeah, with Maddie talking about how they are able to drive to each other, I feel like that's a huge thing to see for us because so many people, don't have that capability. You have to fly or you have to drive like 3 days to go see somebody because they're across the country or whatever, which is our case. But yeah, it is nice to see that Anne and Leslie are still like, friendship and they didn't just like let it go. You know what I mean? So that is really nice. And yeah, we'll get into everything that you mentioned in a little further detail in as we get there. So we start this episode with Leslie working on what looks like a crime scene investigation board, honestly, which leads Ben to believe that she has gone crazy, which, to be fair, is not quite off the mark. The only thing I am crazy about is a pregnant manta ray named Ann Perkins. She has 3 sections for these topics of conversation. That is what she's ranking: professional, personal, and just for fun, for her next phone call. And she says topics pile up when your BFF lives in another state. And I know that Maddie and I can relate to this because we are not in the same state. It always seems like we are, but we are not in the same room when we're recording, when she's able to come on, which is why we have voice memos. And for those of you who do not know that, or if you're new here, that is one of the reasons that we started the podcast, is because we would, and still do, leave each other voice memos or write each other's voice memos essentially for like sometimes 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, not even joking. And then we take notes on the voice memos and go back and forth between them, because that's the only way to keep in touch. And a lot of times it's nicer to do that than be on a phone call because you can kind of do it at your schedule. It is nice. And I think that's something that, we have tried and have done, but it's just hard to do when you've got your own schedule. It is nice though to have a Zoom call or like a phone call or something, because that, like, you can just interact as people and not just like talking to yourself on your voice memo. But sometimes, you just got to do what you got to do. But, like Leslie says, you're not like doing life together essentially. So you have to catch up on what you're going through, and then sometimes things pile up and it takes 900 hours to catch up on everything. And then sometimes even in the voice memos you're like, oh no, I didn't even tell you that, you know what I mean? So it's a lot. And I think Leslie is panicking in a moment, kind of in this moment, just because she has not been able to let off the steam that she usually would to Anne. She doesn't have that person for her right now, and hasn't had this person for a couple episodes, meaning maybe a couple months, a couple weeks, probably a month or so at least. And it really is easy to fall behind. She's right. And dear Ben, like, that's very nice of you and very precious, but no, you cannot talk about Sandra Bullock's skirt length. Like, just stop. You would embarrass yourself. And this is why female friendships are important and boys just don't get it. Although, however sweet that is, which I can agree that is sweet, it is not the same. So I fully understand Leslie's like kind of panic, like intensity here. And then she just points out that, which is, I think, true also for married couples or couples in general, sometimes, not always, but sometimes, that she points out that, if they did try to have this conversation that she would have with Anne, like every time she has, she just wants to jump his bones after. They just want to go have sex. So they really can't talk about the Anne topics. But, it's all about balance. So you got to have both. You got to have the boy relationships and the girl relationships. Or I guess I should say romantical relationships and not. Anyhow, so now we're at the Unity concert meeting, another one. We are nailing down some details, and Ron wants to volunteer to do the park survey himself. Online, it said that Amy Poehler had a cold because her voice does sound a little raspy / like, cold vibes, if you will. It's not her usual sounding voice. However, who knows if that's true. I think it is interesting though, to notice that in a lot of TV shows when the actors have colds, like I think that they try to like compress the sound, or it's already compressed and then they're nasally in addition to that. It's just, yeah, really funny, but it could be due to anything. So hopefully she wasn't sick for too long and it didn't hurt her to be working. But anyway, so Ron is doing the survey, and really he just wants to spend the day outside by himself. He says it's his dream, and he, lets Leslie believe that he's doing this because he has finally come to love government work. Today is that day. He lists all the things that he misses, but they're literally all synonyms for silence. He's like, he just misses being by himself. And there is this cute moment because, well, this is a cute moment to me because he does end up with this dream job of silence / being outside all day because of Leslie. I know that is a spoiler alert in a way, but I think this is a nice moment to just kind of recognize that that's what he wants and that's what Leslie gives him eventually. So that'll be super fun to see. Oh my gosh, Doc McStuffins is all he hears. That's what he has in it, in lieu of silence. A lot of my parenting friends nowadays say it's Peppa Pig, Bluey, and Paw Patrol. So I'm very intrigued to see. I would love to hear from the parents to know what your life is filled with, what your ears are always hearing, always on the iPad or the TV. Oh, maybe it's K-pop Demon Hunters, which I love. So I would be fine if my kid was watching that forever or had that on repeat. Then Ron gets Andy stuck with him. Leslie says that Andy can go with him to do the survey. Ugh. Tom asks if the tent rental guy is left-handed or right-handed so that he can part his hair the right way. But then Ben says it's a straightforward deal. And Tom's like, why didn't you tell me that? I have a straightforward fedora. I would have brought it. We have to stop at the storage unit now for all of those things, which is hilarious. Honestly, I should have worn my straightforward deal fedora, because this is a straightforward episode. Anyway. Okay, so Ben asks Larry to come because he's been doing all the paperwork for this. I love this too. I think this is really nice that Ben reaches out and says like he deserves to see what this is going towards because he did all the hard work for it. And Tom's really annoying to me, although I do understand that you have to keep this character. And also Jerry, it's not like Jerry Larry does anything that like helps Tom see that Larry is cool. Like he is cool in Ben's presence, but I feel like every single time, and I think some of it's on purpose, like we see with the car washing thing, and some of it is not, where Larry just can't be a cool dude in front of Tom. He just doesn't know how to do it. Anyhow, so let's see. Oh yeah, and Ben doesn't want anyone to know that he likes Jerry. He's like, I don't care who knows, as long as no one knows that I said that. So next scene, we've got Donna and April in the parks department. Donna's hair is so cute, I must say. I love her highlights. They're so cute. Every time I see them in this season, I'm like, oh my God, Retta, you look so good. It's so cute. Leslie says she will be in her office for 1 to 7 hours for her weekly chat with Anne, but turns out that Anne canceled. And I'm really sad for Leslie in this moment because she doesn't even like explain where she's going, why this super important phone call is being pushed back. I feel sad about that and a tiny bit hurt, to be honest. Like, what's going on? Like, tell me what's going on. Not just like something came up, very vague, and I can't be there, even though we planned for this really important call. And to a certain degree, I absolutely understand. I guess it doesn't happen frequently. So I guess that's like also another factor. Like if it happened all the time, it'd be even more annoying and like rude. But yeah, and I guess I'll just talk about it now, which we'll talk about it a little bit later. But Leslie asks Anne, why didn't you just tell me? And Anne is like, well, I knew you'd rush down here and want you to be waiting forever. Like, who cares? I want to wait forever. I wanted you to tell me. I would have rushed down and just like sat there and like hung out and been there for you and with you and just been in the waiting room. I would have brought all my snacks, but I guess it is Anne's decision and it is Anne's delivery / labor. So she gets to absolutely decide whatever she wants because maybe she thought that Leslie would steamroll in there too and just try to talk to her. Although I don't think Leslie would have done that, but maybe, you never know. So yeah, I'm conflicted in this moment because I just feel like Leslie should have known that she was going into labor, but Anne can do what she pleases. So because of this missed call, Leslie's trying to bond with Donna, and Donna says she's watching a rewatch podcast, which is really fun because we're a rewatch podcast. Like I said, this whole podcast is so meta. Or this episode anyway. But the rewatch podcast she's watching is Jaleel / Urkel rewatches Deal or No Deal, and it's called Jaleel or No Deal, which is really funny. That's a good one. Good job, writing team. So then Leslie tries April, which, oh my gosh, this is one of my favorite Leslie moments. What's the 411, little mama? What's the hot goss? Who you question on these days? And I'm pretty positive that's what she says in Mean Girls too. Like, what's the hot goss? I love that very much. And April is like, gross. I'm married. Like, my husband is who I'm crushing on these days. Like, what are you even talking about? And Leslie says now is lady time. So she's setting up an impromptu Galentine's Day. And April seems like, dare I say, very excited. April and Donna are very excited about Galentine's Day. And I would figure that Donna would be, but April, oh my God, I love that April is into this and like excited about a Galentine's Day, especially when she thought that they weren't going to have one since Anne moved away. Also, again, what is the deal with Anne being like insulted even when she's not even there? Like, April, I know you have to keep up appearances and like your reputation, whatever the hell you think that is, but let's just get over it. Let's just move on. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm taking it too seriously. I get it. I do understand. Okay. But I'm just telling you my feelings. Okay. That's where we're at. I think we're there. We can tell each other our feelings. So Leslie needs a friend that actually lives in Pawnee. I run into this all of the time. All of my closest friends do not live near me at all. Even my friends that I went to high school with are about an hour and a half away. So it's just not the vibe. And it sucks. It really sucks because as much as you can try your best to have your Zoom calls, which we do a fantastic job of, my friends that live in California, Maddie who sends voice memos, people in Nashville for the most part, it's hard because this is actually something that Aisha Muhar, who is a writer on the show, said in her novel that I just finished called Loved Ones, which by the way, everyone should read. But that's one of the things that she mentions, and I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier when we were talking about Leslie and Anne, but you aren't doing life together. You're just catching up. You're playing catch up all the time. It's not like you're seeing each other at work or at a friend's birthday party. So you're not living your life alongside each other. You're just playing catch up. And that is really, really hard because it's such a bittersweet energy, if you will, because it's so nice that you can forge these relationships and keep this relationship and you have the foundation there. But when, you just want to go see a movie with your BFF that's in California. What? No. That's not what we want. Or if like you want to go to dinner with a friend that lives 2 hours away, nearly an hour and a half away, which that is, that's much better than a plane ride away. But life gets really hard. So I feel like I've always said that friendships just come down to like who's free at the same time as you and who like kind of lives closer to you, which is always a joke in LA. Like if you live in the Valley and someone else lives in Culver City, people say that it's about dating too. It's like, okay, that's never going to work. That's basically a long distance relationship, which can work, but it's not easy. And sometimes it doesn't last if you don't have that foundation. So anyhow, that's my tangent on that. Let's see. So Leslie's testing out, quote, new Anns and letting them test out on the ultimate battlefield of female friendship, Galentine's Day brunch. And this is where I agree with Anne. I'm jumping ahead a little bit when we get to the hospital, but Anne is like, what? Galentine's Day, the most holiest of days, is when you're going to try to make a fake relationship? Leslie, this is how we know, because Leslie is not treating this day as sacred as she usually does. Although I guess in her mind, she's thinking that it could turn into sacred if she finds a new best friend. But, oh, it's panic, Leslie. Anyway, okay, so Ron and Andy are surveying now. Well, Ron's doing the surveying. They're at a park / playground. And I was like, don't you have to be certified to be a surveyor? Like, how is Ron just doing this? So I Googled it up. I looked it up / Googled it. And to work as a professional land surveyor in the United States, you must be licensed by the state in which you operate. Licensure requires passing the Fundamentals of Surveying exam, gaining approximately 4 years of experience under a licensed surveyor, and passing the Principles and Practice of Surveying exam. So you can get a certification instead of a licensure. Licensure is mandatory to sign and seal plats or surveys. And then a certification is voluntary, though it can help with career advancement. So I think that is, true of a lot of different fields, especially these kinds of fields where it's like a trade. And then it says most states require a combination of a 4-year degree in surveying geomatics and experience. Like, you got a degree in this? You can? I did not know that. Some states allow for licensure through a high school diploma and extensive on-the-job training, which again is more of like the trade school vibe, I feel. There are state-specific exams as well, in addition to national exams, but many states require passing a state exam for local laws and regulations. And then before you become a licensed surveyor, many professional first become certified as surveyor in training after passing your exam and meeting state education experience requirements. And I always knew that this was definitely something that required experience and was way more involved than you think it is. This is a big deal. I mean, I do work in the title insurance, whatever field, so I see a lot of plats all the time. And this sets up so much. It sets up like with the taxes that you pay, the literal land that you own, saying like if your neighbor comes to you and says, you know, your fence is on my lawn, you can look at this plat and be like, no, it's not. I had a survey done and this is not at all correct. Like, this is a very big deal, so I could understand why it would require such extensive training / licensing / anything, because it is very involved. And if that's done incorrectly or has to be revised or anything like that, it is going to be a big deal. This is not something to take lightly. So I mean, I'm glad that Ron can do it for this instance. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a license, because Ron that's the kind of dude he is. But I am very intrigued about how he was able to, like, I know that there was equipment probably at City Hall, but anyhow, so if anyone is interested in being a surveyor, or if you are a surveyor, I'd love to hear from you. And I'd love to know what your like education was or certification or whatever the hell. So let me know. So Ron really wants to do this alone, and he thought he could get away from being a parent for just a second or just a day, but Andy is now the kid that Ron has to look after with all the questions hanging off the playground. Then he falls and busts his mouth open, and his tooth is missing now. Oh my God. Ungross. The 5-second rule, he tries to shove it back in his gums. Gross, disgusting, and also painful. Oh, Andy. So now we're checking out the tent rental, and Tom tells Jerry to just stay outside and review the paperwork. So Jerry's like, happily, I'll do that. I'll just enjoy the view. And it's a trash truck for a view, which was a great filming. The pacing of that was really hilarious. And there's literally nothing else. It's like when you are at an apartment and you're like, what a great view. And it's a brick wall. So cute little Larry is going to be outside reviewing his paperwork. Then we see our tent guy. Finally, I know a lot of Parks fans love this episode because of the tent guy in general. His name is Rob Hubel, who we've seen in the comedy world many a time. As Maddie said, he was Holly's new boyfriend in The Office, AJ. He actually had a sketch show with Aziz Ansari and Paul Scheer, and Paul Scheer was the Kaboom It guy, for those who don't remember, back in like season freaking 2, I think, when Leslie wants to kaboom the pit. He's been in so many things. He's so funny, and was also in 15 episodes of Bob's Burgers, if anyone is interested in that show, which I know I am. He's all over the place in all these things. Side note, his character name is Harvey Spielyorm, Spielyorm. So, Harvey. Hilarious. So well done to Rob. And I'm sure that they just gave him, I highly doubt that he auditioned for that, because everybody just kind of knows him. And I'm sure they've been just waiting for him to come on. He calls Tom a genie, which is pretty gross, but also like kind of funny that them two have had a sketch show relationship for a long time. So that's fun. But if this was real life and I didn't know you, don't call him a genie, like weirdo. But then he hands Ben a new contract that has like a bajillion new things added in. And he says he's a serious tent guy. Like, he takes this very seriously. And he goes on and on about the details. Some are striped. Some are over such and such square feet. He says he once rented a tent to Rene Russo. And I'm very sorry. I have to admit, I knew that was a famous name. And I knew based on context that this was going to be a fun person to look up, but I have to admit I didn't know her. She is an actress and a model. She was in the movies Nightcrawler, Lethal Weapon 3. She started out in Vogue and Cosmo in the 70s as a model, so many people know her. Of course, Tom would know her, and I'm very sorry that I did not, but you don't know what you don't know. So now I know her name, Renee Russo, and she is beautiful. I looked her up. She looks fantastic. Renee Russo and Chrissy Brinkley should, Jerry Larry's wife, should have a little moment, I feel, as a spinoff in Parks. So the tent guy, Harvey, says he added clauses, addendums, super casual. Like, those are all very serious things, okay? Addendums and clauses to contracts are very important. It's basically not reading the fine print. And that fine print can have so many crazy things, including all of these taxes and charges and fees that we did not think that we were going to have, okay? Ben is like, okay, well, I need to look this over before I sign. Of course. Yikes. So we're back at the Bluebell Cafe next, which is where we've had previous Galentine's brunches. We see Shauna Malwae-Tweep, which is very exciting to have her back. Love this. She's tan because she went on a solo trip to Rome because her boyfriend decided to stay with his wife. Oh dear, Shauna. Her life just keeps getting messier. Which I love that they wrote that because she starts out like pretty confident. You know, she goes out with Mark. She's, you know, a really respected journalist in Pawnee, and then she, when she asks out Andy, I think it's the beginning of her decline. She's like, I can't even get the shoe shine guy. I love when she says that. It's so fun. There's even more deleted scenes here showing how messy she is. She said she was dating someone who liked her but liked her sister more, so they're pretty happy now. And she, again, she's not bitter. Well, I'm sure she is inside, but the way she says it is not bitter at all. She's like, yeah, so they're pretty happy now. And then she's texting someone who texts back but says, I told you to use the other number. And then she goes up to Leslie and is like, that's good, right? And Leslie's like, oh, dear Lord, he has 2 phones and you're not supposed to text this number. No. And Donna says Rome is played out. Side note, I love that they brought back fake Anne. So exciting. It is sad that they call her fake Anne, but I'm glad that they brought her back. Melinda Cohen is her name. Just a reminder. She was in 2 episodes total. This will be her last time on Parks. And how fun to get to be on Galentine's Day. Very exciting. The first episode was Doppelgangers that she was in, which is a fun callback to Best Medicine, the show that Jay Karras executive produced / directed and also directed Doppelgangers. So Donna says that she goes to Asia all the time, and she has a jacuzzi. Leslie's making notes on her new best friend, and no one knows what is in her journal yet, but she's not being, that's another thing too, she's not being subtle about it. Like, she should have known that Donna and April would have absolutely looked at that and been like, what are you writing, friend? Galentine? Ethel Beavers is here. So exciting. We love that. I really love these balloons, by the way. I love all these decorations. I always love Galentine's Day decorations, but it's just so cute. And yes, here is where they mention that it's not the right date technically, but every time girlfriends get together, we embody the spirit. She basically reveals that she's going to be doing interviews and she'll be able to know if they're lying. And then later on, she also says, like, you know, the correct answer was this, which that's not the vibe of just a friendship Galentine's Day brunch. To girlfriends, which, by the way, is a gif / meme that I use all the time. This episode in particular, where she has her little champagne mimosa glass. To girlfriends. I love it so much. Oh, so good. I love a Galentine's Day. And I can already tell that none of them are going to be Leslie's new best friend. Like, also, she's trying to replace Anne, not just find another close friend. So she's kind of setting herself up for failure here right now, because you really can't replace the friend that you had before, you know, and that's, I feel, what she's trying to do. And she doesn't understand that it's not going to be the same, but it's going to be different. And like, you know, Anne says later on, Donna and April may not always show it, but they love her. It's just in a different way than she's used to. You know what I mean? So Leslie has obviously not gotten to that conclusion yet. She won't for a while. Because now we have a Galentine's Q&A, and it's so funny. She's using those like ass hat or kick-ass hats from the pit, where one says kick and one says ass. As the little, like, you know, suggestion box thing. Donna's favorite show is Scandal for everything, you know, binging, fashion, whatever, which we love. Poor Shauna likes beauty pageants. Oh, because everyone's so perfect. And by the way, the question was favorite TV show. So, yeah, and then Ethel likes skin flicks. Oh my gosh. And April likes watching like car crashes with children's music at the wrong RPM. Yikes. Leslie, this is where Leslie says the correct answer is Friday Night Lights. And this is where it's a bit of a tip off because Donna's like, what do you mean correct answer? Like, aren't we just getting to know each other? What are you talking about? Side note, the Southern guy, Brad Leland, who played Buddy Garrity in the debate episode, or who played Buddy Garrity in Friday Night Lights, was in the debate episode. And he sent us in this wonderful voice memo / video. He was actually filming, I think he was in his trailer or somewhere on set the day that he sent that, which was so cute and so fun. He was so nice. What a fun crossover. I have to confess another admission that I have not watched Friday Night Lights, and I really should because people love that show, and it's just I'm sure I would relate to it having grown up in a small town that was very football forward with the high school and everything, but I haven't watched it yet. So I would love to weigh in on this whole little Anne / Leslie debacle debate at the end of like who's a criminal, who's not a criminal that stood up for their brother. So I will definitely, I'm sure I'll be on Leslie's side because that's just who I am. But I would love to see that. Who knows? So it costs extra to have people inside of the tent, and there's a flap tax, a noise tax, like crazy stuff. How is noise affecting that? And then he's like, keep your voice down. There's tents in here. And then because they've discussed all these things, he's charging a discussion surcharge. Oh my gosh. And they're up to $400? Oh Lord. The gal who is checking the discussion charges is named Martha Carey, and she and her character name is Jeanette. So cute. She's actually also a script supervisor on a ton of shows, so that's super fun. I thought maybe she was a script supervisor on Parks too, because I know sometimes they do that where they bring in the crew to be on an episode or something, but it doesn't look like it from what I could tell online. But I didn't see a contact info for her, so I requested to follow her on Instagram, and we'll see. But well done. That was super fun to see. $400. Ben is like, forget it. We'll take our business elsewhere. Like, this is ridiculous. The side part for Tom made the price go up, and Tom is like, well, it does have an effect, but not the kind that he was thinking. So now back at the dentist, Ron has to take care of Andy like a child again on his day off from being a parent, and Andy doesn't know his social security, doesn't know what he's allergic to, just like Maddie was saying in her summary. Like, oh my gosh, so crazy. Like, how has he survived this long? He just always has had Anne or April, and now Ron taking care of him. How have you lived in this world without serious injury? Which I guess, you know what, that's not even true. He has had serious injury. So I guess my question is now, how have you stayed alive? But I'm glad he has. It's kind of crazy. I also wrote a note here that I feel like Andy is almost like Kevin in The Office, where like his childish behavior / childish demeanor only gets worse. Kevin, it's kind of like, dare I say, stupidity? I don't know. His lack of intelligence just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And I feel like that's what Andy is doing. He just gets more childlike. He's like a Benjamin Button situation where he's not growing older or wiser. He's just going back down or staying the same, I guess, while everyone around him grows up. Let's see. So Donna reveals she's gotten 2 annulments. They have a wild card section in the Galentine's Day questionnaire situation, which I did not know that. I could see that though. I'm sure Donna went to Vegas or something and had a crazy night and was like, yeah, sure, let's get married. And then she needed an annulment. They find out that Leslie has been ranking them. Oh dear. Leslie, like I said, was not being very subtle about it, and they totally saw that. And so April steals her little journal, and yeah, Leslie doing that in front of them is not cute, not a good look. And Donna says the truth, like, you're better than that. Nope. Like, what are you doing? That's stupid. I do love that they gave Shauna Malwae Tweep such a fun storyline. Like, it's so pitiful and sad. And she's writing a memoir about smiling through the pain called Tweeping Up Appearances, which the puns in these show, come on, man. That's so good. Tweeping Up Appearances. Ugh, I'd read that. And I love that Fake Ann is like trying to be nice, trying to say like something complimentary, but then she's just like, this was a really brunch. And she doesn't get a bag. Leslie says, leave the bag. Like, you dragged them here. They should at least be able to take home the gifts. Come on, Leslie. You're really losing it. Okay. Sad. So now we're at Larry cleaning the windshield, which is a really cute scene. I love this scene, but it's also very bittersweet, like I said. And Ben and him are laughing, and he has to, oh my gosh, I wrote the phrase keep up appearances in front of Tom. He has to tweep up appearances in front of Tom. Ugh, I hate that. And he like makes it up for him. I feel like Ben was about to say like, no, it's totally fine. Like nothing weird happened. And this is how I guess Jerry Larry proves that he's a good friend, because he doesn't want Ben to, you know, be caught in the crosshairs, and it's just like, yeah, I really let one rip, Tom. Like, didn't I? Oh, he's definitely like progressing in the sense that he's self-aware now, like he knows what's happening. And I wonder if that was a discussion in the writer's room, because I don't feel like he knew that he was as pitiful and sad. You know what I'm saying? Or at least we didn't talk about it. You know, obviously when Leslie goes to meet his family, they're like, oh, wow, okay, he has a really lovely life and this is really lovely. But I don't ever feel like Larry Jerry was like, you know, I know they're making fun of me. I know that, you know, I'm not the best person in the office. But now I feel like he's progressing to know, like, this is just my lot in life, or lot in life in the office. You know what I mean? So I'm interested about that. But because I just like that we're talking about it now. Anyhow, so Ron is like, I'm not your dad. So if you want to go and not be at the dentist's office, we can. You're a grown man. Okay, Andy, like, you don't need to stay here. Plus, you know, it would make anyone annoyed that, you know, you're waiting for an opening at a dentist's office. That's going to take a long time. But regardless, if you were the parent, you'd be like, no, we're going to wait here. We're going to do the thing. And Ron is like, well, I'm not your dad, so we can go if you want. And I love this little like runner that Andy has of like, you're like an older brother, but like a cool uncle, but also old, but cool, like a son. Which is really just his way of saying that he respects Ron and he really likes Ron. And he's like a family, because he says brother, uncle, son, all family members, not just friendship, which is really sweet and cute of Andy. So Ben now is at another tent place. This lady tries to charge him for coffee at the tent place, and that's when we learn / figure it out that this tent place is owned by the same guy. Oh my gosh. This coffee lady's name is played by Piper Major. What a cool name, Piper Major. Her character name is Daubrelle Catamaran, which I love, Daubrelle Catamaran. She was in New Girl, The Dropout, a lot of short films that looks like she produced herself, which is super cool. I did exchange emails with her, so please tune in next week where I hope to have her voice memos back and we can play those and kind of see how her day on set was. She did a great job being very straightforward of like, yeah, dude, I'm charging you. That was the vibe, which I was like, oh my gosh, well done. Rob Hubel is so good. It's hilarious. My prices have gone up ever so slightly since I saw you last. He owns all of the tent places. Tent Town, Rent 10 Tents, The Tent Offensive, Ace Tentura Tent Detective. Oh my God, it's so brilliant. And I can't imagine how hard all of that was to memorize. Like, I don't know, maybe it wasn't bad to memorize, but I mean, I just feel like I would have gotten tongue twisted. And the Tentagon, when he answers the phone, oh my God. How did he do this? I love it. Rent 10 tents. I feel like I'd be like rat-a-tat-tat, rat-a-tent-tent. And yeah, I mean, just going back to also Piper's role, I feel like she could have played it like I don't know. I could see her coming back and being like sympathetic or something to them, but I love that they just played it like, yeah, that's it. I work for this dude and I have the same exact mindset as him. He's not like, you got to be charged, bitch. Also, that's expensive. What was it, $6 or $8 or something for fucking coffee? That's crazy. Or maybe it's only $4. Either way, come on. Crazy. Yeah, he has a monopoly on tents. I mean, this is America, I feel, in a nutshell. Everything is owned by one company, you know? Everything's owned by Disney, Apple, Google, Amazon. The end. You know what I mean? Woof. So now Shauna and Leslie are still hanging in there at Galentine's Day at the restaurant. They are an only child. They're trying to think of things that they have in common. They both went to college. They're both an only child. But apparently her dad had a second family. Oh, dear, Shauna. And she was the second family. Oh, my gosh. Oof. It just keeps getting worse, doesn't it? I do like Shauna's shirt, though. It's a very nice shirt. I love a collar on a shirt. Like, oh, I don't know why. I love that. That style. It's so cute. And it looks like so put together, but cute. So now we find out Leslie gets a notification on her phone and we find out that Anne had her baby. She does suggest that Shauna seek therapy, and Shauna thinks that making the first move is a bad idea, that she read that in a book, that she's not supposed to make the first move. And Leslie is so annoyed at this point, and it's just like, that doesn't apply to therapy. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I also reject that statement that a woman shouldn't make the first move in a romantical relationship, but I do accept / endorse the idea that if you are having trouble, like Shauna's having trouble, maybe a therapist would be a good idea for you. I do therapy. Maddie does therapy. We love therapy here, as you could tell by our theme song. Hello. Okay. Moving on. So now we are at the baby. Olive Perkins Traeger is here. Meet your Aunt Leslie. That is so precious. And just a reminder that they did talk about Olive as a name because Chris said the baby was the size of an olive, but he would have preferred a grape tomato because it's healthier. I love that. And I love that Rashida comes back here, and Anne coming back is just so great to have for Leslie. It's so precious and perfect for this Galentine's Day moment that they can be together and support each other. And that, again, it's a driving distance, so she could rush all the way there. That's the other thing, too, I feel. That if it's a driving distance like this, like 4 hours or something, like, it would have been fine for Leslie to be on the road while Anne's in labor. Hello, but it's okay. Then we wouldn't have got the Shauna Malway Tweep and Ethel Beavers and all the people for the Galentine's Day. So I do get it. But that's just how I feel. Okay. Moving on. So she says that she was in labor, but she didn't tell Leslie because she knew she'd drop everything. But whatever. I wrote notes, but I'm not going to say them because I already said it. Andy's tooth now still hurts and he keeps on drinking the soda or whatever the hell is in his little Punchburger cup. And he just keeps drinking it and saying ow every time. So Ron's like, you know what? If you don't fix it now, it's only going to get worse. So let's effing go. I'll drive you. Ron drives him back to get his tooth fixed. Andy thinks it's because of calories that Ron knocked the peanut brittle from his hand. Like, Andy, why don't you understand that this is painful? Okay. Like, peanut brittle's not going to work for you, honey. Oh my God. Tooth pain is truly the worst though, you guys. I've been through it myself, had root canals and cavities filled and all these things. That root canal, like, that was so painful. I hated that. So I wouldn't wish it on anyone. And I'm very lucky and I haven't had much dental work, knock on wood. But tooth pain is just terrible. So I can't imagine that Andy's just like thinking he's going to live with this. Oh my God. Until like his whole head rots out of his face. All right. So now we've got Tom and Ben discussing the options for tents because they can't go back to the tent guy. Oh dear. Sweaty Rogers Pants Tent is not an actual tent rental place, if you can believe it. Ben, come on. It's funny that they have like 2 porn site like mentions in this one. Leslie says like, you know, bond of girls or women and whipped cream. Shit, I'm totally butchering that. But she says something like that, and then she's like, do not Google that phrase. And then, you know, Ben has this moment with Sweaty Rogers Pants Tent. Oh my God. So then we've got Jerry Larry saving the day. He dug around, he looked at his paperwork, and this tent guy has a lot of code violations. There's literally no way that he could be running his business like this. And Ben is very impressed, and Tom is so annoying. Shut up, Tom, complimenting yourself for what Jerry found. But then Jerry kind of feeds into it and is like complimenting Tom back. Like, yeah, great work, Tom. You did it. Oh, Jerry, come on. I guess Jerry just thinks it's not worth it. So Leslie tells Anne she tried to rank the ladies in the office for new friendships, and Anne is like, what? What? On the most holy of days? Which is a really good friend pointing out that was messed up of her to use this sacred holiday as a time to go behind your friend's back And she thought she was doing, and it is kind of funny because, well, funny is a strong word. It is kind of bad because this time I feel like she's usually steamrolling for like the good of the town or the good of her friends or something. But this time she's truly just steamrolling because she is in panic anxiety mode for a selfish like reason. And I mean, it is emotional and it is intense because, like Maddie said in her summary, this is definitely trying to fill / fix a hole in her heart that she has no idea how to fill yet. And she, like I said, she doesn't really understand that, you know, you're not going to replace Anne. You're just going to try to find other friendships that can, you know, fulfill you and lift you up. And Anna's like, you know, you might find someone that, you know, has strengths that even I don't have. And I know a lot of people love this line too of like, you shut your mouth, you have all the strengths. So cute. I love that. Classic Anne advice, though, which I know we've been missing. I know I was when I heard Anne's advice. I was like, oh, we needed this grounding, where she says not to force the friendships, just give it time. It's something Leslie needs to be reminded of. Like, they didn't always like the same stuff. They didn't start in the same life pattern. And like Leslie even says, and to her point, it was a little bit, I don't want to say insulting, but it definitely wasn't like constructive. But Leslie says, you know, Anne wasn't in the best place when I met her. So, you know, these friendships might not start in like the best places, but you can move forward from there. I think about that with relationships as well sometimes, you know, like I don't know if sparks at the beginning are the best, you know, indicator that you're meant for each other. Like you can build up to loving each other. Obviously, you know when it's not right. Okay, I'm not saying like stick with someone if it's not right. But I just think that we've been sold this bill of goods that you have to be like so enamored with both your friends and your romantic relationships immediately, but you work up to that. You build on it. Anne and Leslie had this foundation that Leslie now has to start all over again with another foundation, which I think is what she was trying to do. She was trying to skip that portion of friendship, which I can absolutely relate to. And with both romantical and regular friendships, it's like, can we just skip to like the part where we know everything about each other and we're just like BFFs and can just like be together? Like, I totally get that. But sadly, that's not life most of the time. Let's see. So, oh yeah, I just had a note written that I wish I could add to this conversation about Friday Night Lights, but I can't. So I'll start the show and see. Oh my God, I started watching The West Wing, and I just have to say, people think that the Wicked guy, people are gonna get mad at me for not knowing his name. The main guy in Wicked was like the one that started off with like the sexy glasses. I think Rob Lowe is the one that started that. This was in 1999. He is like a very smart looking in the suit dude. And then he has his like slutty, sexy little glasses. And when he puts those on, it's like, oh my God, all bets are off. You are very hot right now. Okay, Rob Lowe's always hot. But when he puts on his little slutty glasses and shows us that he's intelligent, I am waiting to see how this character plays out because I'm not like obsessed with Sam Seaborn, which is Rob Lowe's character. So can anyone just tell me if he gets better or if he stays like that the whole season / whole series? There will be growth. I know you can't tell me everything. Also seeing Bradley Whitford, this like young version of Bradley Whitford. Bradley Whitford's always energetic and lovely, but to see him like so bouncy, is that the word? He's just like running around and like the filming, I can't get over it. You guys, I'm almost done with this tangent, I promise. But like going from room to room and having the camera follow you like that. And how many steps did they get in a day of filming? They didn't have step counters, I don't think. Not like we do now with the Fitbits, but like they are walking so fast and so far for those scenes. How many takes did they do? Did they walk like 50,000 steps per day? Are you kidding me? Nuts. And the way that they must have set up that set so that like the camera could just like go in a circle essentially or back up in the dollies, and it's just amazing to think about. So thank you for that. Okay, moving on. So Oliver needs more time because Anne says that, you know, we should really catch up now. This part kind of breaks my heart a tiny bit because Leslie's like, you know, we said we'd talk. And Anna's like, well, you're here now, so let's talk. But then they can't because Oliver's there. And Oliver is the most important thing in the moment. So Leslie understands that. And she's like, he needs your time more. And it's very cute. So she'll call her from the car. And Anne almost bought a toe ring. So we need to talk immediately because Anne, you're somebody's mother. And this is also a meta moment that Maddie and I have as well, where I feel like, especially with the podcast and scheduling and things like that, like I'm always very aware that your family and your child comes first. There's really like no competition or guessing there. So, like, anyone who doesn't understand that, who like gets mad at a person because they have a baby now or a kid now or whatever, like, it doesn't compute to me because obviously your family is more important, and you, this child that can't take care of itself, is more important, and you need to be building that relationship and foundation as well. So I love that Leslie sees that and gives Anne this kind of space to be like, okay, you guys need to have your little time together, even though I'm heartbroken a little bit that we are not like in the same physical space and our relationship is changing. Like, Oliver needs you, and that is the most important thing. That's the only thing, really. And balancing that as a parent, I'm sure, is really hard too. Balancing your own friendships with, like, this new human being that you now are in charge of, essentially. So, shouts to all the mothers and fathers who are really trying their best to balance everything, because I know that that's really hard. And I just think this is a really sweet moment for Leslie to be like, you know what? I'll call you from the car because Oliver needs you. And I do love this little moment too that Chris is not there, aka Rob Lowe is not there, because he was so good at coaching that the nurses asked him to help down the hall. So that's why he's not in the camera or on camera right now. Anyhow, so back at the dentist, Andy asks if he should strip down to his underwear or all the way naked when he goes into the room. Oh my God, that could honestly be an improv as well. I could see that. Ron calls Diane to say he'll relieve her of, kid duty. He says he's always a parent and he's always on duty, which is so true. I think a lot of parents feel that way. Plus, I'm sure, and I don't know if they did this on purpose or if this was a part of it, but I'm sure he also realizes that this is also how Diane always feels and has felt for longer than him, because she's had the kids more. So maybe he's showing, a little show of empathy here. Like, maybe I can help her have a break the way that I would like a break as well. But also seeing him understand that this is who he is now, this is his life now, and the way he smiles because he's not bitter about it is also very enlightening and beautiful for this growth of this character that we love so much, that would not have done this in season 1 or 2. Are you kidding? Can you imagine? No, you cannot, because that's not even possible. So it's really lovely to see. Okay, so back with the tent fellow, Ben is like, listen, I'll see to it that you never rent another tent because your business license has lapsed, and it negates all of the deals that you've done this year. You're dumb, you're bad at poker, and get over it. And Harvey backs down so fast. What a loser. Rob People does such a great job, like, being so confident and douchey in this first half, and then being like, oh shit, they figured it out, okay, fine. And his like facial expression of like, oh my God, so good. Rob is great. And then Tom first, he starts naming all the things that he wants in this compromise, including a Rene Russo signature, which is a nice callback. But Ben is like, the compromise for us, like letting you slip by with your lapsed business license, is you're going to rent us this tent for the fair deal that we agreed upon, and we'll keep letting you do business. But also, as a city manager, you probably should have him renew his fucking license. I don't think you should just let him off. Like, what? I do think you need a valid business license, sir. Maybe he'll take care of that on his own, but the fact that he's just like, okay, we'll let you go. What? Also, Larry took you down, and he'll be watching you like a hawk, which, oh, come on, Larry, like, be intimidating. Weren't you listening but at all? Just a little bit, just a tiny bit. So this part when Tom is like, can't you be cool for like 1 second? I'm like, okay, I sort of kind of understand why you're saying that. But Tom's an ass, okay, in this episode, okay? So I'm not saying that he's right by any means to keep insulting Larry Jerry, but this moment I was like, okay, Larry Jerry, get it together. So Leslie gets April and Donna coffee as a sorry, and they kind of make up, which is really precious. April's llama shirt is also very cute. I really like her little sweater, her little outfits. They make a very cute gesture and made her a bunny that has Anne's voice in it. If you press the paw, it has Anne's voice and also April's, which is very demonic sounding. But we'll let that go for a little bit. Weird. Tom says they might even be under budget because they're having like a little meeting. I'm sure they're talking about the tent. And Jerry Larry is late because he can't find his inhaler. And it turns out that it's underneath pistachio shells on April's desk, but he's allergic to pistachios, which is really terrible and awful. That's actually a really huge deal. I understand this is a joke, but oh my God, you could die. So hopefully they have EpiPens in the office. My God. And Ben is watching all this go down, seeing them make fun of Jerry Larry. And Ben is like, I can't do it. And then he pulls the Dead Poet Society situation where he's like, oh, Captain, my Captain, I like Larry. I'm so proud of Ben. I love Ben in this moment for standing up. It's like one of those things where you like help the underdog. You stand up to the bullies that have been fighting slash making fun of, you know, your friend. And I love this moment. But it is funny that even Leslie cannot do this. Leslie cannot get on board with Ben liking Jerry Larry, and she does not agree. Also, Donna's like dramatic sentence of he's throwing away his career. Like, how is he throwing his career away by saying he likes Jerry Larry and wants to be friends with? That is hilarious that could like take down your whole career and your whole trajectory of your growth that you've had in city government. And then this is another moment too where I'm just like, Larry, Jerry, what the fuck? He farts slash embarrasses himself, and I hate that. After Ben stood up for him, they really do a good job of making the audience like feel sorry for him and also be so annoyed with him. Like, come on, man, get it together. Like, especially because you've seen that he has the capability. We've seen that he can be cool and fun. Like, I get not being cool and fun all the time at the city hall because you do have to save most of that for your family. But damn, get it together. Oh my God. Okay, that's that. But I am still proud of Ben, and I like their little friendship that's going on. Okay, so I do have a little bit of a deleted scene for how Anne is doing. Sorry, I forgot to mention it, but they do have a little bit of a moment at the hospital, and it's super, super cute. I thought I would play it for you.
Literally, tell me how everything in your life is.
I tell you all the time.
But tell me again in person while I'm in your arms.
Okay. Well, I just had a baby. Woo-hoo. And we're really happy. My family lives 20 minutes away. Chris is working in admissions at the university. And on weekends, he yells motivational slogans to the track team through a bullhorn.
I love that. That's so cute. I feel like they cut out some Anne stuff in the last couple episodes where Anne like leaves and this one. I just feel like it's really important for me. Maybe it's not important for the audience. I don't know. But for me, it's really important for me to hear how she's doing and like, was this worth it? You know what I'm saying? So I absolutely love that she lives close to her parents. Chris has a good job now. He's still staying positive and motivating other people. She feels good about where she's at now and now the baby has come. So like it makes a difference that this is the right thing for her. So I just thought that in case any of you guys were wondering how she's doing and how we're feeling, this was the right move for her. And I love that coming to fruition, honestly, because I know we were so sad before, and we're still sad, but it's a really nice, rewarding moment. So anyhow, like I said, super straightforward. That was all of my notes. Thank you guys so much for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe. There are many ways that you can help not only Minnesotans, but you can help just immigration law in general. There are many, which I'll post in the show notes. There are many lawyers' offices that, help immigrants that are trying to stay here that need their visas and things like that. So I'll post there. This is just crazy what's going on. And I think it's absolutely bonkers that anyone would applaud this. I think it's ridiculous that our administration cares not one bit about the people that are dying or being injured. I think it's crazy that we are just like, oh, we know he's a pedophile, but oh well. It's fine. He's like, the exposure's enough. We're not going to do anything about it. Oh well. So I just want to say that we're all in this together. I know that it's really hard, and I just appreciate you guys coming together and being with me on this podcast. And I am not going to stop being political. I think the idea of not being political is a cop out, and everything that you do in your life is political, whether you think it is or not. It is, and there's a lot of decisions that affect you and the people around you. So I just let's just try to look out for each other and stop being so fucking like disrespectful. Like, it's insane. Anyways, I will not go on any longer, but I will post resources in the show notes. I appreciate you all so much for listening, and we will see you on the next one. Hopefully Maddie will be here to discuss with me, and we're moving right along on season 6. So thank you all so much for coming, and we'll see you next time. Bye.